and sent it to Harpo and said, here, I've heard you talk about harp forever. We located your great-grandmother's harp. And Harpo loved it so much, he would sit for 3 or 4 hours a day just strumming the notes, just hearing the beauty. I wonder if he was self-healing. I've never thought of that until now. Thank you, George.
That's fantastic.
And he would just love the instrument so much that he'd play for hours. And if you watch him in the movies, you know, he's cutting up and they're all yucking it up and everything's funny. And he sits down to play harp and bang, his persona changes.
It sure does. Oh, he gets really serious too, doesn't he?
It's from the soul.
Yeah, it really does. I've had a mustache, I think, since I have been 2 years old, Carol. So my parents would always let me do Groucho Marx impressions when I was
sure.
Say the magic word. And
good for you.
All those things. But what if you had several harp players playing at the same time? Could you cure a room, or do you have to do it individually?
My opinion is, I mean, you've heard this so many times. Yes, it's the harp, but it's really the harpist. It's really like...
It's you.
Yeah, it's me who happens to be able to channel. And, this is so interesting.
I mean, if you played the trumpet, do you think you'd still be able to heal people?
I do not.
You do not?
I'm a really rotten trumpet player.
All right. Well, you could have been good if you practiced. I have a feeling you're good at anything you try to do.
Who knows? On a good day, maybe. But it's really channeling. I just really tap in, and I have to leave my ego behind, and I have to leave an agenda behind. I've got a story from the hospital. I went into a room, and it was a black gentleman who was ill, and he looks up and he says, "Oh, I want some music. I've been a jazz musician my whole life." Well, he's talking to my soul because I played jazz in my dad's
It's the best.
band when I was 4 years old. So I've played jazz forever, and I love it. It talks from the soul. So I proceeded to play for this man, and I put everything into it. And I put my energy and enthusiasm and it was really good music.
Like a jazz player.
Like a jazz player would. I improvised, and we both had tears coming down our cheeks at the end of the healing of the performance. That's the thing. It was a performance. And I walked out to where my team was taking the notes, and one of the doctors looked up at me and she said, "It's the only one that did not have a change in the blood pressure."
Isn't that something?
Because I was playing from ego, from Juilliard, from hot years in my dad's jazz. I wasn't playing what he needed. And I thought that was so interesting and so humbling.
Huh. And what did you learn from that?
I learned that it's not about, quote, excellence. And maybe, they say this. They say, there's a great story about a fabulous pianist. And he touched everybody, right, this pianist. And the joke backstage is always, after this guy went off the stage, I think it was Horowitz, that a stage crew would come along with a broom and pick up all the wrong notes that he dropped in the concert. But nobody ever knew it because he played with such honesty and such beauty and such depth.
Passion.
Yeah. So it's not about the right notes. It's not about impressing somebody that you've got good jazz licks. It's about opening up to, I don't know, to the vibration of what's true and honest. And that's what I think is the healing.
Can you tell me about the manifesting and how that works?
Well, the manifesting ties in with it, as far as I'm concerned, because manifesting also means not following somebody else's rules, not having I'll do this mantra and I'll get rich, or I'll get this, or I'll get this, or I'll follow this rule, or I'll follow this path. To me, manifesting is going inside your being and hearing your harmony and hearing your desires and realizing your intent and coming in touch with your soul mission so that you literally vibrate what it is that you want to happen in your life. And when you're in vibration with it, all the power in the world won't keep you away from what you want.
So if you're there strumming the harp and you're not tuned in to the individual, as you were talking about the jazz person, you're not on that plane.
Yeah.
It's great music, sounds good, but it's not going to work, is it?
It's not going to work, and that's why it goes back to your question. Like, if I played a CD, anyone who's cut a CD knows that you get 24 great measures, and then you can do an edit. And so a CD sounds perfect, but on an emotional scale, on an energetic scale, it's all over the place. It's for show. But
it's still relaxing, no matter what, whether you're hearing it in person or on a CD.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And actually, I think all music is healing. Look at a mother singing a lullaby to a sick child or a child she wants to put to sleep. Go back to Bill Marks, Harpo's son. So we toured for Columbia Artist Management doing 70 concerts a year across the U.S. And Bill would start humming, and it'd be a different pitch. And he'd start humming, and I'd say, Bill, what are you doing? And he says, I'm healing myself. And he could hear the pitch that he needed to correct a stomach ache, a headache.
How about that?
Yeah. And it just, once you start looking for these things, they just keep coming at you, and you go, wow, people do this all the time.
There's a mall in St. Louis. During Christmas, they have a harpist there. Mm-hmm. In the mall, strumming along. I think it increases sales. I don't know. Why would they put a harp player in a mall during Christmas?
Well, if you... Okay, I'll tell you. And I'm a harpist. I spend my whole life hugging this silly instrument. I don't mean it. It's
Bertha.
A lovely instrument.
Hey, Bertha.
I'm sorry, Bertha. But at the start of your program tonight, you had a beautiful arrangement with a harp in it. And immediately I went, that's gorgeous. There's just something about it. Maybe that's why they think all the angels play harp. It's a truly elegant, full of grace, full of beauty sound.
It does something. And when we take calls next hour, here's an interesting question for people who are listening to us right now, Carrol. I wonder if when you hear that, it changes your feelings, your mood, your persona, even in your worst state or your very angry state. I have a feeling when you hear harp music, it will calm you down.
Absolutely. And isn't that healing?
It sure is.
Sure it is.
Of everything you've done with the harp, what would you say has been the most shocking or surprising thing you've learned from this? Its healing abilities? Through you, of course.
Shocking and harp don't seem to go together.
There is no dark side to a harp, is there?
There isn't a dark side, but I'll tell you what it's taught me. It's taught me that anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. If I put my intent and my belief and my energy and my enthusiasm behind it, I'll tell you a story. I was a young Canadian, and the Minister of Culture was talking to me one day, and he said, if you really, really, really make it big in the music business, you play Japan. Now, this is 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And I heard that statement. I just, a few months ago, completed my 34th trip to Japan.
34 trips. Good for you.
Because I believed it. That's what you did. And I knew I was going to be good, so that's what you did. So I wonder if people don't hear something and it reminds them, wow, I can do whatever I believe if I follow it and if I believe in it and I open up to that positiveness. That's what I think it can do.
What's happening in terms of students learning the harp? Is it a growing field or is it a dying field?
You know, it's so great because we're in a renaissance. There's more harp students today than there ever have been, and I think it's because we're taking the harp into the world of jazz. We're taking the harp into the world of healing. And it's like this instrument that wasn't very well known all of a sudden is what everybody wants.
Are there little harps that you can, like, keep by your shoulder and hold in your arms?
There are. are, and there's little ones that are about 3 feet long, 3 feet tall, and a church that I've started a harp choir at now has 15 kids, ages 6 to about 15, who all dress up in little white dresses and play concerts together. And wow, if you want to talk about a herd of angels and the power of positive, these kids, some of them haven't got a chance in the world, but are on scholarship and are extraordinarily special because they've got a harp in their life.
How old is the harp, Carol?
You know, it goes back to the Ur Valley in Mesopotamia, to the earliest pictures on Egyptian and Mesopotamian.
Wow.
Yeah, way old.
And has it always been, compared to something angelic?
I wonder. I know it's been in the Bible many, many times, King David, etc. I went to Egypt and was even allowed to go into some of the tombs where the public doesn't get to go, but they had pictures of harps. And I didn't see anything that would be similar to our angels, but of course that's a whole different culture. But it was always being played when there was a picture of abundance and a picture of golden and a picture of what perfect is.
And what's the harp made out of? Is it wood?
Yeah. You've got wood, a lot of it's Canadian maple, and then you've got something like 3,000 moving parts because those crafty little pedals have to have, so there's a post that goes up, and the post connects to the neck, and on that, it's the same as frets on a guitar. So the string, when the pedal's in one position, hangs quite long. Then you put your pedal in another position, and a little rivet makes the first fret engage. Strings an inch shorter will sound half a tone higher.
Do they ever snap or break?
Often. And
frustrating, isn't it?
Preferably not during concerts.
No. Has that happened to you?
It has.
Ugh. How long does it take to replace a string that breaks?
3 stories to the audience worth. You can do it pretty fast. I prefer, if a string breaks, to pretend it didn't happen and just play through the piece, and then quickly. You carry a set of strings with you right backstage.
For every 40 plus? All of them?
Oh, yeah. Well, 3 sets, to be honest, when I'm on tour.
Wow. Okay, stay with us, Carol. We're going to come back in a moment, take some more phone calls.